thing as well that, is the topic or the thing that I sent you.
Welcome back to the Talking Average Fitness
It's
podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
now it started. Oh, the recording thing didn't pop up on the
It
screen. I
didn't.
was like, who are
It's
you talking
10
to?
seconds later. It's
Oh,
Kevin
you
just had
start
a
going.
blank stare on his face for 10
You start
seconds.
going, and my screen did not say recording started. So I was like, who
Hilarious.
are you talking to? You practicing? Like
I am. I
what?
am.
We only operate by the seat of our pants. This is the drill.
This is true. And
All
if
right.
you
Anyways,
haven't figured it
continue.
out, we are the Talking Average Fitness podcast. My name is Sam Burns. Um, I am joined by my ever faithful compatriot and the person who, to use his own words, can in the same sentence be like "F you, I love you," Mr. Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, how are you today, sir?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Living the dream. We got the space all set up at CrossFit. So we have our Halloween throwdown this weekend.
Ooh.
So everyone's going to dress teams of 3, dressing up as a whole bunch of wild and wacky stuff. Big event. We're like 120 people, I think, doing it.
That's
It's
wild.
like competing, but there's not like a leaderboard or the prize is fun type deal. We just kind of like get together and throw down on like 3 partner workouts. It's basically like a mega suffer on Saturday, but with Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
And then a beer mile afterwards, which I'm going to try and survive. So got that done. Filmed 2 YouTube videos today. So we're getting on that.
Good man.
Boom. Just having a go at Ben Smith,
You know what'll be fun is when you get into the world of video editing.
Yeah.
And like, so I have a client of mine who is very good. She's very good with social media, like very polished. And I was telling her, like, I feel very old when I play with like video editing software, but also like an idiot. Because I have 2 things I know how to do. 3 things. I know how to select the little reel, right? I know how to cut it, and I know how to delete. So like that's it. And she looks at me and she's just like, "Oh, that's bad, Sam." I'm like, "Thanks for making me feel better."
Thanks. Phenomenal.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's gonna. I mean, I basically just like a peek behind the curtain. Eventually, like once I make it big on YouTube, I think I have 2 subscribers at the moment on my channel, and one of them is 1,000% my mom, probably.
Yes.
And so once I make it big, once we get as big as this podcast is, where I have tens of subscribers,
I know, rolling in it.
Yeah, then you maybe get like a camera of some sort. But I'm just using my iPhone that still has the center button.
Oh wow!
Boom. So I have that, and I just I press record. I record the thing. I like reach around, press stop recording, and then I just post that shit. There is no editing. The only editing is like when I chop it up for like the Instagram reel, like the 30-second clips. That's the like editing. But yeah, it's trying to get better at something that we talk about a lot, trying to get better at promoting me, which is hard.
Well,
so
well, and we you're right, we have talked about this. This is a thing that like needs to be talked about more. Promotion is a complicated and icky subject because we're complicated and icky humans, and like things like promotion and marketing feel icky, and that's a hard thing to unscrew up inside of your head. And if nothing else, it's entertaining to watch you do this stuff. So I appreciate you doing that.
Well, I'm glad I can be a source, one of many sources of entertainment.
one of the many.
Yeah.
You sent me something.
I did.
You sent me some shit. And
it was my turn to send you some shit.
It was. And
where did I put it? Because I want to pull it up so I can read it.
It's in our text messages. And it was,
I'm just trying to
2 images, and then the words, "This pisses me off."
Yes. Yep.
And
cool. Found it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
I'd love to talk about it. I want to add some parameters, right?
That's not fun.
I know. We don't have to put a particular person on blast.
No, this is not a particular person. This is just like one example of something that I see, you see, we all see, in the fitness space. If you're a fitness professional, you have 1,000. I mean, we went on your Instagram ads were targeting you with the P-ball that was a little like the between the leg nonsense where we were like,
Yes.
what is happening?
Yes.
Um, so
What
you're
a
like,
bunch of shit.
if you work in fitness, if you are in fitness, if you're a person that has maybe thought about fitness once, and so the little
Right.
FBI agent on your phone starts pushing you ads for stuff,
Yeah.
you've seen stuff like this, and it's not always all the same, but the themes kind of carry. And the kind of underlying thing that we're going to talk about today is just misinformation, just stuff that gets thrown onto the internet, because the beauty of the internet is it connects all the people. The detriment of the internet is that everyone has an opinion and they put it out there.
Yeah.
And the thing that's wild is I watched a video at one point where someone was kind of just making fun of the similar thing. I don't know if they were a fitness professional or not, but they were like making fun of, there's so much information out there now that you can find, if you look hard enough, not even hard enough, you just kind of just do like a Google foo, you can find studies that support any claim that's
Literally.
out there.
Yes.
And so this person, just as a joke, like was like, you know, let's see, does coffee have any health detriments?
Yep.
And so they Googled coffee and poor health, or coffee and disease, or I forget what the search terms are, but it was something like that. And they're like, look at this. Here's a study that's like peer reviewed that shows that drinking,
which is a whole other ball
it was
game.
like, well, that too, but let's not dive down. That's a whole nother, we could do like a marathon podcast, 6 hours on peer reviewed shit.
Call Greg for that one.
Anyways, he was like, here's a peer reviewed article, which if you look at it, looks really fucking official.
Yeah.
Some people that have many much degrees studied a thing and they found this.
Yes.
And the headline was coffee consumption risk, or like increased risk of cancer. Yeah, increased risk of cancer, something like that. And they were like, well, fuck. Like, okay, cool. Like drinking coffee. And they were like, you know, what about like, let me, you know, Google coffee and like cancer risk. And then there was another study popped up that was like, drinking coffee reduced your risk of cancer. And he was like, what in the WebMD fuck am I looking at here? Like, it's just all over. But they're both peer-reviewed studies that are saying contradicting things about the same fucking substance. It's all coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's something in there about like the person that's getting cancer drank 700 ounces of coffee and this person drank 7. But it's like, if you were just to look at like, is coffee good for you? I had my mom, like, you know, God love my mom. She, you know, I had this conversation with her. She sent me an article years ago. There was a newspaper article that put that if you eat 2 or more eggs per day, you are at an increased risk of like an early death. And she sends me this article.
Yeah.
With no other, just there it is. And I sat there, I looked at it, I was like, well, I eat like 4 to 6 eggs per day, so this should be fun. So I click on it and I read that it's like a newspaper article or a magazine article of some shit that's going on about it. But they cite their source. So I click on cite the source, which again is already 2 steps farther than most people would go.
Yeah.
They just see eating eggs kills you. And then they go, oh, can't eat eggs anymore. But I click on the article. I read the article. What a steaming load of garbage. And then I clicked on, like, they cite their source. It pulls up the study. The study wasn't even like a controlled subject study where you have like a control group and a test group. It was a survey. So right there.
Self-reporting, baby. Woo!
Oh, yeah. So not only was it a survey, it was a survey of people whose like their spouse, their partner, their whatever had died prior to like the age of 60 or something like that. Yeah. Maybe it was 65. And it was basically asking them about like their lifestyle factors. And as you go through, and if you read the actual study, they connected multiple dots.
Yeah.
One of them being eating eggs. That like one commonality that was shared amongst a high percentage of people that died, you know, before they were 65 was that they ate 2 or more eggs per day.
Sure.
The other things that the newspaper article failed to report on was that the other lifestyle factors that were linked at a higher percentage than the eggs was they smoked, they drank 3 or more alcoholic beverages per day, and they were sedentary. And I was like, fuck. And so like I sent back to my mom. I was like,
but
hey,
there's no
like,
clickbait in
right. But so there is no clickbait. And like, hey, if you smoke a pack a day, you might die early. That's not news.
Yeah.
It's not clickbait, so, and it also doesn't fit like the rhetoric of, what the FDA wants to push of like nutritional whatever, where they're like, you should eat a bunch of breads as the base of your pyramid, which, at times, sure, bread's great. I love it. But it's like, you're going to tell me that eggs are terrible, but I should just smash my face with Frosted Flakes every morning. Got it.
Cool.
Cool. So I sent back to my mom, and like, again, she was the avatar for your average human. They see an article that freaked them out. Holy shit, eating eggs is going to kill you. Right. And she knows that I eat eggs. And so being a concerned mom is like,
honey, I need to let
him know, honey, stop eating eggs. And this is like, to no discredit my mom, she is just the avatar of your normal person that doesn't do fitness, that doesn't study this stuff or understand this stuff. And so I asked her, I was like, did you read the article? And she said, no, I just saw the headline and like, wanted to send it to you. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, like in the article, it referenced this, it listed all these other lifestyle factors that like the only thing on this list that could cause premature death that I do is the eating the eggs. Everything else is not something that applies to me. And so I'm going to be okay, but, I appreciate it. And, my mom listens to this podcast, so I'm sure she'll be, like, how you're putting me on blast in your podcast, which I want to make clear that, like, I'm not, my mom is phenomenal, one of the most caring and loving human beings in the world. She just saw something that freaked her out and was, as your average person, clickbait title, and then like that was all it took for the gears to start turning. So there's a lot of misinformation that gets put out there. And so the one that I had sent Sam was, this was posted on a Facebook feed, and the post says it's a picture of like a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
like I'm
looking at it. Like, this is a very aesthetic looking cup of coffee.
It is. And it says, reviews needed. If you could switch out one cup of coffee daily to a delish skinny coffee and lose 20 to 30 pounds, would you? And me being me, there's like 3 comments on there, and I'm like, I gotta click on the comments. And I don't know who these people are. These people could also work for this company, whoever makes this skinny coffee.
Absolutely.
They have to.
Yeah.
But again, that's an assumption. But let's put it out there that it's an assumption.
It's not an assumption.
It is an assumption, because I don't know for sure. I haven't background checked these people, but it's a very good assumption. It's like a 99
reasonable assumption.
99.9 repeating % chance that these people work for this company, because they were commented like that. And so one person put in like, I'm obsessed. I lost 22 pounds with the coffee and gummies, which tells me that they also sell skinny gummies. Not, I wonder how those skinny gummies compare to the Scooby-Doo fruit snacks, because those things were phenomenal.
So good.
Next person said, yes, this coffee is so amazing and delicious. The last person said, love our amazing fat burning coffees. They're an everyday thing for me, with many much heart emojis.
Our possessive.
Our. Well, there you go. Okay. So Sam, reading between the lines right there, our coffee. So this person does work for this company. So I saw that, it immediately was just like,
heated.
What the fuck? I sent this to Sam in a blind rage of, someone is trying to sell this shit to people and being like, hey, if you just drink the skinny coffee every day,
one coffee,
one coffee, just one thing. But like, I don't know about you, Sam drinks 7 coffees. You could be down like 70 pounds in like
I got a story about coffee that is related to this.
And so I just sat there like, someone who's in a spot, and this is someone who works in fitness, where what me and Sam do for a living is, we're in the business of changing people's lives. We're in the business of putting you back on the path to health, fitness, happiness, all the rest. And
And to be
so,
clear, it's not just
yeah,
us who are doing
right.
this.
Like all fitness professionals.
Yes, yes.
Sorry,
Like
I'm using us
ultimately,
as an
that is
example. Like,
yes,
yeah.
for sure.
So all people in fitness, the reason we're all doing this is to help people, to
That's the desired
save their
end state.
lives, better their lives. That is the desired outcome and what we push for. And that's what we do with our clients every day.
Yeah.
So the fact that for whatever reason, someone's put out there and they're like, I'm going to create a company called Skinny Coffee. And I'm going to tell people that if you just drink this coffee, you'll lose 20 pounds. It doesn't give a time frame, but
Nope.
just says you'll lose 20 pounds. And the thing that's wild to me is that, you know, that gets put out there and marketed. And someone who's sitting at home, who maybe wants to improve their life and
They
their
want
body
something to
composition, their health,
change.
they want something to change.
Yeah.
They're going to see this
Yep.
and they're like, all I have to do is just 1 cup of coffee per day, and that solves my problem. And for someone that's a much lower barrier to entry, then I have to go to the gym. I have to work on meal prepping stuff. I've got to get my nutrition in check, all that
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
It seems so much simpler.
Yeah.
And people nowadays just want that easy way out. I just want to drink the Skinny Coffee. If it
Well,
was
it's
just
not
as
people nowadays. It's people.
well,
People.
in general,
Yeah.
But if it's just I drink the one Skinny Coffee
Yeah.
and then my life is fixed, that's the easy solution.
So Kevin's going off and he's doing something. So I'll tell a quick story. The thing that I want to know is what's in this coffee. Like let's assume good intent, right? Someone actually came up with quote unquote skinny coffee, right? Does the skinny coffee have amphetamine in it? Like is the skinny
That'd be
coffee
awesome.
Well, so here's my funny story. Years
Yeah.
and years ago, Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters was there's a story. We'll find it real quick. Dave Grohl recalls drinking so much coffee he went to the hospital. Right? He said,
Holy shit.
"I was making a record for them Crooked Vultures. I was making a record for the Foo Fighters. I had just had a new kid. I was sleeping 4 hours a night and I was drinking 3 pots of coffee a day. And I started having chest pains. I just turned 40 and I was like, of course, I'm going to die. I'm 40. And so there's this video called Fresh Pots. You can go and watch it on YouTube where it's him like Fresh Pots is what he used to yell in the studio when he wanted a new pot of coffee. And like he would keep the pot of coffee by his drum kit and just like straight to the face all day long,
Yeah.
straight black coffee. Don't do that.
Well, I
Real
mean,
quick. Don't do that.
yeah. Coming from you, who's done that on this podcast, there's video evidence of you just rocking up to your mic stand with like, let's get some bitches.
That's my 1 pot of coffee a day.
Yeah.
It's the story I tell myself.
Completely like unrelated, but kind of, because with the coffee, we have one of our morning members here is an absolute savage. He's like, he comes in 5:30 a.m. every day, 5 days a week.
Love it.
Phenomenal. And he's got the best attitude. He comes in, he walks in the door, let's fucking go. Let's get some. He's jazzed. And so one day he comes in all jazzed. And I was like, Kurt, how much coffee you drink a day? like where are you at right now? Like you gotta be like either multiple pots or like one solid line in, you know, like just because you are jazzed at 5:15 in the morning. And he's like, oh well, he's one of those, like he gets up at like 4 in the morning just on like a Saturday, just because like there's no alarm. That he's that guy, probably because the coffee's still flowing through him, like it just wakes him back up. And so he came in and he was like, I'll probably have like, you know, like 3 or 4 a day. And I was like, okay, like how many do you have before class? And he was like, oh, like 1 or 2 depending on the day. And so I look at him like he's got a Yeti tumbler. And I was like, Kurt, when you say you have, you know, 3 to 4 cups of coffee. Is that a cup like a mug, or is that a cup like your 30-ounce like Yeti tumbler that you got
Yeah.
rocking right now?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, like 3 or 4 of these." And I was like,
Bro.
"Oh," I was like, "That's like 15 cups of coffee." Like 15 actual cups worth of liquid. I was like, "Oh my God, homie's running on jet fuel. No wonder he's jazzed." He's
Oh,
like,
he's the
he's
happiest
like
man in the
10,
world.
he's like 10 cups of coffee deep at 5 in the morning, just like ready to go.
That
And
that
it
was
was
one of
incredible.
my
Incredible.
that was one of my favorite things to say. I was coaching at CrossFit Maniac last year, and
Yeah.
I'd open the 5:30 a.m. class, and I'm that guy. Like the coffee is brewed. I go downstairs, the clothes are laid out. I basically am awake long enough to
Yep.
put the clothes on, grab the coffee, and go out the door.
Same way. Same here.
Yep. And on the way in, and I'm very lucky. It was about 25-minute drive in.
Mhm.
Coffee into the system. I get to the gym 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes early. So I'm turning things on, turn the heater on, like open the stuff up. So by the time everybody's there, I've been awake for an hour and a half.
Right.
And I'm some of one of those Yeti tumblers in. And I would say to these people, welcome to your 5:30 CrossFit class. My name is Sam Burns, and I am the most caffeinated man in Cumberland County. You
Yeah.
know, and probably true, certainly
At
possible.
that point in time, probably. That was
Absolutely.
like yesterday. We were like going after our class workout, and again, tangent as we do. With that, like, welcome to your 5:30 class. I'm Sam Burns, the most caffeinated man in Cumberland County. I had people. I was like, you know what, guys, we're gonna like everyone buy your barbell. We're gonna dive into it. Let's get after it. It's like we're gonna have the most fun that you can have at 5:17 p.m. in Sudbury, Massachusetts on October
Yes.
18th. Let's get some. Like, and people sat there and
Hyper
started laughing. They're like,
specific.
yeah, and they're like, it's probably true. Like this
He's
probably
not
is.
long. He's not.
It probably is the most fun that you can have in Sudbury, Massachusetts at 5:17 p.m. on October
Hilarious.
18th, 2023.
Yes.
But just imagine if that cup of coffee when you were going into the gym to coach, imagine if that was a skinny coffee, Sam.
Fucking A. And now we're back to this.
So I like, well, because it's just that we're coming back from our tangent of like coffee and all that fun stuff. Because let's just be clear, coffee's amazing. It's the
Coffee's
elixir
amazing.
of the gods, all
It
that fun
is.
stuff.
Yep. It will cure cancer.
But the amount coffee plus couch stretch cures whatever ails you.
Done.
And but I just saw that skinny coffee thing and was like, motherfucker, because it's just the easy way out. People would much rather take a diet pill, do the skinny coffee, eat some skinny gummies or whatever the fuck that product is that, second homie on the comment list mentioned. Yeah. I'm like, it's way easier to just do that. How many companies do we know of that have like a meal replacement shake that's like supposed to help you lose weight? Or it's like, hey, the biggest one that gets me, this was hysterical, was we had to do a project in college, our like senior or like last project of one of our courses in our senior year was our exercise physiology class, was like our sports nutrition class. And we had to essentially like in partners do a presentation and a research project on some form of eating, some diet, some structure, something to it. It could be performance related. It could be health and wellness related. It could be just here's how to not eat like an asshole, whatever it needed to be.
Sure.
And he sat there and he was like, my one rule is no like juice cleanse or cleanse diet stuff.
No
like
gimmicks.
Not allowed. Yeah. No cleanses. And I mean, you could do gimmicks, I guess, but he was like, if you wanted to like research like the Atkins diet or something like that,
Okay.
like that, like you could go into it for sure. Like, not saying it had to be like, good, bad, whatever, but just talk about it.
Okay.
And he was like, no cleanses. And immediately someone goes, well, why not? How come no cleanses? Which means like that they were probably like, I'm going to do this.
That's what I was going to do.
That's all I want to do.
You took my thing.
Yeah. And he goes, because they're fucking stupid.
Nice.
And like sat there's like, the class was silent for a second. He goes, I have an issue with cleanses because they don't actually do anything. He was like, what they claim to do is detox your body and cleanse everything and, all that fun stuff. And he's like, however, if you are sitting here living and breathing, you've got organs
Yeah.
That's full-time job is to detox and cleanse your body. That's what your fucking liver and kidneys are for.
Right.
So unless your liver and kidneys have somehow shut off,
Yeah.
you don't need a cleanse. What most people do a cleanse for is, I've been on vacation eating like an asshole for a week where nothing went into my mouth that wasn't fried or like the primary ingredient being sugar.
Yeah.
Which, to be clear, go on vacation, enjoy your food, all that fun stuff. Like,
Eat the sugar.
yeah, eat the sugar,
Yeah.
fine. But you don't need a cleanse when you come back from that. You just need to get back to eating like a normal person. And if you
It's,
did that
it's
in the
not going to
same thing, because
undo
like,
what happened.
right. So like in the 3 days that the cleanse takes place, if over those 3 days, rather than just drinking lemon juice and pepper, if you just went back to eating your normal, like kind of eggs and fruit for breakfast, your chicken and rice for lunch, like if
Yeah.
you went back to doing that
Mm-hmm.
in the 3 days, you'd feel the same in terms of like your energy, and I feel less like a sack of shit,
Yeah.
but you also wouldn't be starving because you're like, all I've consumed in the past 3 days is 2 lemons and a shake of a pepper shaker in my water. Or I juiced a carrot and drank that. And
But
like,
no fiber, just the juice.
yeah, just the juice. And now I have night vision, but like I'm still hungry. I feel like, so I'm
Beta
like,
carotene is awesome.
woo! And so it's like all the nonsense, like it's not supported. It doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
if you do the fucking sniff test, that's all it takes. It's just a little bit of common sense. If you look at Skinny Coffee and then I lose 20 pounds, again, cause for red flag, doesn't give a time parameter on that. But you'll lose 20 pounds if you drink the Skinny Coffee. If you look at that and go, I've been drinking coffee every waking moment for my 28 years of life. I'm not sure what they could have added to the coffee aside from amphetamines to make that happen. It's like, if you just look at it and it doesn't make sense, then it probably doesn't make sense. It's probably not a thing.
Well, in his blind rage,
Ugh.
Kevin has Kevin has stumbled across the chief obstacle to any forward progress in any goal that any human has ever had.
Income
Right?
tax.
Well, no. Of course. Well, okay. So taxation is theft, but then moving
No,
on from that.
common sense.
Yeah. Like the reason those things are attractive is because they allow the person to abdicate responsibility.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And this person can say, well, I did this thing and it didn't work. And so because it doesn't
problem with the
work,
thing.
exactly. As opposed to, I'm going to tell you what to do, and it will only fail if you fail to do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And then if I go and I do, or I attempt to do, but then end up not doing, I experience failure. I don't have the thing to point to, although people will still look at that thing and be like, this thing didn't work, right?
Sometimes people they'll blame their coach. If you have a coach or someone that you work with, right, fitness professional, and it's also hard where, especially it's some hard conversations, because when you sit down with a client and you say, hey, I have the answer, I'm going to help you, and the things that we're going to do are going to get you where you want to go.
Yes.
However, you still need to do the thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you exactly the prescription, the workouts, the nutrition, the thing to do. I'm going to give you the thing. And if you go and execute on the thing, you will get the results.
Yes.
This only doesn't work if you also don't work. Like if you don't do the thing, it won't do. And that's sometimes a hard thing, like with some nutrition clients, like me having to talk to, like,
a hard
hey,
thing. It's always a hard thing.
It's always a hard thing, but this is a conversation I've had a couple times with some nutrition clients or clients just regarding nutrition. Is like, hey, like I'm asking you to log your food so that we're both on the same page with where you're at. Because then if things need to be adjusted, I need to know where you are so I can adjust you to where you need to go.
Yes.
If you are choosing to lie to me, if you're choosing to log things incorrectly or not log certain things because you don't want to be judged, that's fine. You cannot log things because you don't want to be judged for, like, I overate on, like, I overdid my calories, or I, had a couple cookies after dinner and they didn't quite fit in my macros, whatever it is. If you want to not log those things, that, like, the picture that I see is picture perfect, cool. You're only doing yourself a disservice, because if I don't know exactly where you are,
Mhm.
I can't tell exactly where the problem is and how to fix it.
Mhm.
So it's like, if on my end, I'm like, then I'm baffled. I'm like, I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
your nutrition plan is on point. You've been following it to a T,
Yeah.
yet we haven't made any progress in 2 weeks. I'm baffled. And at that
Yeah.
point, I'm like, what happened? Because everything was correct.
Yeah.
And the variable was the client, that person, not putting in their right amounts of food, or maybe on some things, like, not measuring it accurately, just doing the old eyeball of, like, that's about that much,
Yeah.
which is, again, they're fine if you don't ever want to pull out a food scale. And some people mentally probably shouldn't pull out a food scale.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're going to eyeball it, like, that just leaves room for error. What gets measured
Absolutely.
gets managed.
For
And
sure.
so, yeah, it's just, sometimes if you have that person that doesn't do the thing, and so they don't see the results they're looking for,
Mm.
they'll be like, well, it must have been your program didn't work,
Mm.
or what you told me to do wasn't right. It's
Yeah.
like, maybe. I won't say no, because, they're like, I'm human. I can make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this for 10 years. I know all the things. Like, I have, like, odds are that there's an outside variable coming in that's messing with the equation, that isn't the program I put forth.
Yeah.
But then that just requires more responsibility on that person. It's on you,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
it's it and that's really the issue, is that, and this is why it's so important for fitness professionals to be able to inspire people,
Mm-hmm.
because we cannot do the work for a client, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if we did do the work for the client, we robbed the client of something incredibly valuable, right?
Yep.
And so we have to be able to inspire them to want to do the work. And part of a coach's job is to help remove the barriers or limitations to the client doing that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we've joked about this, and I know other people have as well, where it's like, nutrition is not a complicated concept. Eat chicken and broccoli, drink more water, right? That's the joke that runs.
Yeah.
But it's also not it's not wrong, it's not incorrect. The question that follows that is, if it's that simple, and if that's something we all know, why don't we do it? And that question and the answer that follows, the coach who can ask that question, listen to the answer, actually get the truthful answer, the answer at the
Yep.
heart of the issue, and then
So you're gonna have to do
help
some
that
digging.
client, exactly, absolutely, and help that client remove that question. That coach, that is how we get those clients beyond difficulty, beyond impediment, beyond barrier, and to success.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to inspire them to do that, and that's incredibly scary, to go to a
Yeah.
person and be like, I believe you can do this. And
Yeah.
they might have done like various iterations or attempts at other things, and they have it in their head that it doesn't work for them. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very, very hard to be open and honest. It's very hard to say, it's very hard to believe that something will work unless I do something. And
Mm-hmm.
then I go do that thing, and I have to deal with guilt and shame, and I have to like manage how I feel about it, and then manage perceptions I have. So Kevin's my coach. The perception I have that Kevin will be angry at me for
Mm-hmm.
not doing the thing that I contracted him to help me do, which is like a whole layer to it.
Yep.
But like, this is the magic of CrossFit. And people who are in recovery programs know this, and it's being highlighted extremely well right now with the Small Town Strong documentary with Dale King. the
Sam pressed all of his magical buttons and he's now muted. Bye, Sam.
Lost my. Can you hear me?
Oh, yep. There you go. You're back.
Yeah, I lost my audio. My shit decided to go fuck off for a second.
Awesome.
Super technical description.
Yeah.
So, like CrossFit inside, Greg Glassman has said this for more than a decade. Like CrossFit creates an opportunity where people can build resiliency in a safe environment, right? Mm-hmm. Part of building resiliency is failure. And in CrossFit, we create a space where people can attempt something and fail and it be okay. Mm-hmm. And in the attempting and the failing and the critical thinking and examining of how and why the failure happened, they put fucking new wrinkles in their brain because they learn how to overcome that failure for the specific situation, and then the practice of overcoming failure on top of that.
Yep.
And like, if you can do that in a contrived environment like a CrossFit class, you can apply that in any number of places. And so the value of CrossFit is not just the thrusters and the burpees. It's not the 40, 30, 30. It's not the, meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch and no sugar. It's, we're going to create a space where you can come in and learn how to do these things. And the doing of these things is going to impart in you traits and capabilities that you can then take into the wider world and employ at your leisure. And I'm not talking about the physical. Like a lot of times as trainers and as coaches, when we're walked through like the 100 words of fitness, it's all about the physical. It's all about like, I'm going to learn how to get up off the ground or how to pick my kids up or anything like that. But the intangibles are just as important. We learn grit and resilience, and we learn courage, and we learn camaraderie. We learn, how to be better husbands and fathers and mothers and daughters and all of these things.
Yep.
And so it is for those reasons that when we're presented with something like this, fucking Skinny Coffee, like all of that stuff is tremendously hard work. There's no way around it. There's a tremendous benefit, but it's tremendously hard work. And then when we're presented with Skinny Coffee, where it's like, oh, I don't have to do the hard work. I don't have to experience the failure. I just have to swap one of these for one of these. My life gets better. Or my life gets different than what it is now.
Better.
Exactly.
Quote unquote better. Because I'd argue that like the resiliency, the mental toughness, the grit, all that fun stuff that kind of gets forged through challenge is way more valuable than like any number on a scale could ever be. Even if you're like, you have in your head that my life will be better if I weighed 20 pounds less.
Right.
My first question as a coach would be why? What does the 20 pounds less gain you?
Yeah.
And maybe there is something
why
in there
20?
Where it's like,
why not 18?
Right. So, and for most people, it's probably just like, it's just an arbitrary number. Like that's part of the coaching deal is like starting to get to the root of why. Well, is that really what you're after? And, if you do the proper digging, you maybe come out the other end. We're like, okay, what you're actually after isn't necessarily 20 pounds less. It's this thing over here. You just think that losing 20 pounds will get you to this thing.
Yeah. Or you say 20 pounds because you're scared to say the other thing out loud.
Yep. That's a real thing.
That's really
a fucking real thing. That's a fucking real thing. And I guarantee you no amount of fucking Skinny Coffee is going to make it any less scary or any less difficult. And that's the thing is like across the big picture, we all know this. Like you all see the scam things. You all see like the infomercials, the, fucking use a shake weight, do this 7,000 times and your chest is going to get jacked. And you're like, what the fuck is going on there? And so, yeah, I mean, like, we've seen those things. You know it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You
And yet
know that what you need to do is eat better, sleep more or better, depending on, where you're at with that,
either,
and
both.
either both the same, and do some physical fucking fitness.
Well, and
And those three things are going to, if you do them, are going to radically change your life. And there is no, obviously, like Sam and I, we believe that CrossFit and its methodology and how we present that is the best and most efficient way to achieve those goals. However,
yeah.
if you're someone who's like, what just gets me fucking jazzed is going for some long runs, or you're someone who's like, what, I read this kettlebell book and I just fucking love smashing some kettlebell workouts.
Yeah.
And then someone else like, what, I watched a video of like bar stars on YouTube and these dudes doing wild, crazy shit on the pull-up bars and calisthenics. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Because as soon
Maltese
as you
reverse
start,
planches
yeah,
on
just a
on
whole
parallel bars and shit.
whole bunch of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, awesome, fantastic. I fucking love it. Anything that you're doing fitness wise is you're lapping everybody on the couch.
Yeah.
And if it makes you happy and it's going to keep you doing it, that's the thing. But it's like, if you're doing the fitness, you're doing the nutrition, you're going to make substantial change in your life. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
But that's why if you see someone like a Marcus Philly walking around town and you're like, Jesus Christ, dude's jacked, shredded. Look at him
Dude
go.
lives at 8% body fat.
Yeah, less probably. But it's like,
according to him, he got down to like 6 during the
Okay.
pandemic, and like
That
for
checks
like a
out.
good chunk of time was at 6.
Yeah.
But then being at 6 for so long, like screwed with his hormones and stuff, and he had to come back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you see someone like Marcus Philly, who you're like, dude looks like a fucking Greek god over there. There's a reason that gets held in such high regard, is
Yeah.
because we all understand how fucking hard it is to get there and
Yeah.
to do that. And so it's like, we all know that this, like, if I would be willing to wager that every single, male out there on the planet, if they could choose to like either like look like Marcus Philly or anything else, they're probably going to pick Marcus and like that physique there. And so hold on, wait a minute.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So it's like, if we know that like getting to there is like the end goal, ultimate goal, whatever, and we know that that takes hard work,
right?
Then why people are so averse to be like, what, like Marcus on his Instagram for the past 8 years has just been showing videos of him lifting weights and eating chicken. It's definitely the skinny coffee. That's what's
right?
gonna do it for me. Like, I fucking hell, man. Like, he's giving
Marcus
you
is
all
lifting
the
heavy
answers
weights 5 days a week, like,
and eating chicken. Yeah. Fuck, man. What were you gonna say? You had something.
Well, so like, given the choice, would you rather look like Marcus or not?
Yeah.
The question is not if, but why. Like, what do you think looking like Marcus does for you? Right.
Well, right. And that goes to the digging thing. But I'm just saying, like, if we know that, getting a physique like that, or people look at, whenever the superhero movies come out and they always have like a shirtless scene, something, you have like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine that's got like abs on his biceps. Then you got, Chris Hemsworth for Thor, just like jacked out of his fucking mind,
Dude.
Whatever. Like that's when it pops out. We're like, boom, here's the dude or dudette, depending on the, whatever. But they're like, here's the person that's like, they've got the physique. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, like, that's the thing. They didn't get there from drinking skinny coffee or do it like Chris Hemsworth didn't get jacked doing a fucking shake weight.
Yeah.
That wasn't what happened. I guarantee you he was probably bench pressing his face off with like 300 pounds, which
and
again, like,
and probably receiving a little help otherwise.
Well, okay, sure. But also, like, if you're not getting tested for steroids and you're getting paid to do it, like, and you've got like 3 months to look like Thor, you're probably like, yeah, might as well. Might want to put a little secret sauce in the recipe there. But
I think we might have hammered this one entirely.
Yeah.
But I think it's important.
Fucking hell.
I know. So like you said it really well. We all see these things.
Yep.
We all know that it's not going to pass the sniff test.
Yep.
So if you find yourself, you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, of course, ha ha ha. And then a week later, whatever, you scroll and you're like, oh, but that, and I want that. Like,
yeah,
listen to your gut. Like, it's not going to pass the sniff test. Find a place that you love, that you can go to regularly, and make consistent change. And you will be better, happier, stronger, and healthier in general for walking that path.
Yep.
Which I think is probably a good place to end it, because I know you got to go as well.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so. Good spot to wrap it up.
I always appreciate you sending me things in an incensed blind rage. Please continue to do that.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you. And for anyone who's listening, join us next week, and we will have our 52nd episode, a full year of y'all listening to us do stupid shit on the internet. So I have a very special episode coming up next week. Thank you so much for playing along, and Kevin, we'll see you.
All right, we'll see you.
Peace, homie.
He's done it again. Closed himself out of the studio, but left the recording going. You know, remember when Sam said at the beginning of this episode that
I did it again?
I was going to say, I was just having to go to be like, remember last episode or at the beginning of the episode when Sam said, I'm not tech savvy because all I can do when I edit is fucking copy, delete, or like cut, delete. Like, Sam's got so many fucking buttons.
I'm ending this before he finishes this story.